Last but not least, I would like to thank Chris Roberts and all of our fans on behalf of our team for making this possible. An Chris Roberts für seine endlosen Stunden, in denen programmiert und Regie führt und ein Projekt realisiert, das so bahnbrechend ist wie dieses hier. Und an die Fans überall in der Welt, die mit uns diesen Traum verwirklichen, indem sie Star Citizen unterstützen. For countless hours that Chris has been coding and directing and realizing on a project as groundbreaking as this, and to all of our fans around the world who are making this dream possible by supporting Star Citizen.
Well, first, I'm going to add one more person to that list. Thank you, Sandy. Nobody works as hard as Sandy Gardner. So thank you also. And without further ado,
the man himself, Mr. Chris Roberts.
Thank you guys so much for coming out here. We're going to have, I think, a really great show for you. Fingers crossed. And thank you for surviving the heat and warmth here, because this is, I've spent time in Texas, Austin, which is very hot, and obviously it's hot in California too. And I would say this is pretty much about as hot as I've ever been in here. So thank you for being packed and surviving. I hope we've got a very good show for you here. I actually have a few people that are going to help me with part of the demos we're going to show you tonight. So I'm going to bring up some of the group here. So here we come. There's someone that I occasionally call my brother, Aaron. Nicholson, who's the head of our UK QA. We have Glenn, UK QA. Liam, UK QA. Ben, UK QA. Dan, designer in our new Frankfurt office. And they're all going to help us. And where's Paul? I'm missing Paul. Is he hiding back here? He's getting beer, all right. And we have Paul Rendell, who's our lead engineer, who's getting beer. So he'll be here very soon. So if you guys take a seat, and hopefully Paul will be up here in a second. Here he comes. And here's Paul Rendell, who needed a beer. All right, so we've got quite a few things to show you today. We'd be actually doing fairly, having quite fun here at Gamescom. We've shown some of this stuff to the press early so they could see it, and I think they're fairly impressed. We'll see, and I'm hoping you guys will like the stuff that we show you too. So we'll start at the beginning. We're calling it crewing up because we're talking about the multi-crew part of the game, which is sort of my big dream. Has always been what I wanted to do. So not just fly a single-seater ship, but fly it with my friends, walk around, use, and do that. So that's going to be towards the back half of this demo. But let's just sort of start with where we're at. So we just, I think, went, see, red one, what's your status? So we just went live with 1.16, I believe, yesterday. So that has 16 players. You can play multiplayer. I think 1.15 had that too. We have the Scythe and the Merlin Fireball. There's a new launcher on 1.16, which is much better, much faster than the old launcher, and more reliable. I think, in fact, it's almost too fast for some people. It takes all their bandwidth, so we're working on fixing that. And we have a much better back-end manager that we're still working on improving, but it's built to be much more scalable for the use that we're going to need for this, the social module, the FPS, and the persistent universe. So it's sort of laying the foundation for what we're doing there. And that's a Ben Lesnick pun there, fits like a glaive. So in the new 1.16, we have a special mode. We've made Vandal Swarm much, much more difficult. And you've got to clear, I think, is it 20 waves? 18 waves? And if you do, you will be able to get a special badge to fly a glaive, which you can get with rec purchase. And I think we're saying the first 1,000 that manage to finish it, then they will also be able to either use rec or purchase it by store credit or whatever they want to do. So I don't think we've had anyone in our QA manage to do it yet, right? So no one in our QA has managed to clear all those waves. So let's see who's going to do it out there. I'm sure there's quite a few people that managed to do that. But it's kind of a fun little competition we decided to do with it. So it's a little bit of a surprise for you. We are going to be releasing the social module expansion this month. So this is going to come out. Or at least that's what Tony Surovec tells me. But no, we're going to show you some of it here. But no, we're going to release it this month. It's sort of the very basic start of it, but it's going to allow you to leave your hangar, walk around our first planet-side environment, which is ArcCorp on Stanton 4, I think, and interact, move around, and actually meet up with other people. So I think we're looking to support at least 20 players moving around the ArcCorp environment, and it's your first sort of step into the larger persistent universe world. So we'll sort of show it very quickly here. I know. Jared, switch to you should have stayed on the other screen. There you go. See, we're just trying to get our timing going earlier, but that's why it took so long. What's that? Yeah, you like loading screens? We're up. I'm waiting for the spin up. Let's see what else we've got going on the social module. You'll be able to chat. You'll be able to do emotes. We'll show you that in a bit. Go between your hangar and the ArcCorp area, and also Arena Commander. Are we up yet? Okay. There we go. So here we are. This is in the elevator that you would take up from your hangar, and where we start is, which everyone will be able to do in a couple of weeks, we'll be in the customs area of ArcCorp. And for the very first release of the social module, we don't have all the variation in clothes, so it'll be mostly the outfits that we have for the FPS level. But the next couple of releases, we're actually going to be switching where you'll be able to customize your clothes and do stuff. So yeah, there's some silly little things. You can chat. You can also do various emotes and goof around, dance. So, all right. So let's. You can chat, do emotes. Let's head in and just do a bit of sightseeing. All right, Andrew. So let's head off. So I think Andrew just stepped through sort of where the customs entry would be when you actually, Andrew, if we go back out, let's just go and take a look at where the landing pad is so people can know where we're coming from. So stay with red one, Jared, please. So we just go back over here. Out there is in the final game, when you're landing in the persistent universe, you would land out here. You would come in here. This is the customs area, and then we would head through the sort of security or whatever you want to call it, sort of customs immigration, which is through here. Which normally, depending on the environment, it would sort of determine whether you were wanted or not wanted. So if this is a lawful UEE area, if you're an outlaw, they probably wouldn't let you come in or land. Maybe they would. It sort of depends on where you're going. Also, if you weren't allowed to bring weapons in, this is where you would have to sort of leave and deposit them, or leave them back on your ship. And then you would go out here into ArcCorp. So here we are. Hey, and Jared, just stay with red one, please. Don't switch. So here we are. We're in the main plaza of Area 18. I think if you, Andrew, is anyone right near you? You could probably just show them the AR where they can sort of see the names of the other people over them if you want to do the AR on it. So you can switch AR on. You'll be able to use Moby Glass and Laterburn, so that's how you can sort of know who the various people are. These are all our various sort of demo accounts for this. And let's head off to, let's go to Cubby Blast. So we'll sort of do a quick tour of the different locations. So these are all sort of the basic shop types that you're going to encounter in the persistent universe. Most of them are represented here in ArcCorp. There'll be obviously very different looks and styles, different brands, different shops. This is Cubby Blast, where you would come to buy your personal weapons. Again, you'll be able to put your AR on, see the different items, transact and buy through your Moby Glass. In V0, you won't be able to buy and sell. I think our V1 or V2 release of the social module persistent universe will have persistence in the background database. So we need to shift. So right now, when you go into the hangar and you go into Arena Commander, it populates your ships based on what's on your web account. But for a proper, full sort of online experience, you need a persistent universe, a persistent database to store off your state, what you're wearing, every little item you've changed, moved around. And I think we're doing that in the first or second revision of the social module. Okay, so let's head out and look at a few other places. Across the way is the medical unit. Are you the big heavy dude? Yeah, you are. So this is essentially the kind of place that you would come. So if you got killed in space, or you would recover in a recovery room in here and come out. This is also where you can come to buy various sort of medical healing devices. So stim packs, med packs, all the sort of things you would need if you got into FPS combat, boarding a ship out in the persistent universe of the world. And in the sort of V1 of the social module, which is the next release after this one, there'll be a whole bunch of AI moving around, going about their schedules. In this first release, it will just be other players and you sort of playing around with the environment. All right, so let's head up over here. We can go in and take a look at the job well. So here's the ArcCorp job well. This is sort of the official place that you would go to look for jobs in the persistent universe. Essentially, I've talked about a mission system and a mission board. This is sort of the official place for that, where people will put up jobs to haul cargo from, say, ArcCorp to another planet, or be an escort for a cargo run, or have a mercenary assignment, or basically look for bounty hunter assignments, or generally what's happened. And again, this would be full of NPCs, and you can sort of see a lot of, and that's kind of the terminals you would interact with back there. And it's a big ArcCorp setup behind there, with a constellation potentially flown by some sketchy pirates. We don't know yet. We may meet them later. So let's head out of here and go to the other sort of place that you would probably go to look for missions, which would be the bar. Yeah, I know. It's definitely the best place to go. I wouldn't mind a drink right now, actually. So here we are. This is the G-Lock bar, and again, most of our locations, depending on where you are, we have actually quite a few planet-side environments that we've built. This is the first one we're sort of showing you, but we've done several that have different styles, different architecture styles. Terra is obviously a much more sort of super modern kind of setup. We have a Nyx, which is more of a sort of outlaw asteroid city. Yeah, we can do some dancing. Dance. Okay, I think it's enough for the dancing. All right. And then if we go out the other, we go down the, yeah, exactly. So, and there's also going to be other areas to sort of explore in most of our planet-side environments. So this is an example of sort of like a back alleyway, and we're sort of going to have areas that, even though we may not have PvP combat down on the planet-side environments, we'll definitely have some level of PvE interaction. So you could go down the back, you could go down the back alleyway, and you could get mugged perhaps, or this is like, here's the incinerator for the sort of ArcCorp area. So potentially you could do some shady deals back here, or they could be fairly dangerous, or we go around here, there's sort of like a kind of backdoor, I don't know whether you want to call it a speakeasy, but it'd be somewhere you would go to get sort of more gray missions, let's put it that way, down that way. So let's go up the stairs here to sort of show the rest of the location. And again, sort of as we move on, we'll be building this out with a lot of NPCs as well as just other players moving around. And here's another sort of sense of the scope of scale that we're trying to do for our planet-side environments. And I think it's kind of let's head to Astro Armada, which is where we're by a ship. But this is sort of very much about, with us, yes, it's taking a bit of time, but we're really trying to craft there's a little Aurora. We're really sort of trying to craft the world, so they all sort of feel lived in, real places with their stories. We're doing stuff, some of the conversation system stuff that we developed for Squadron 42 is going to come into the Citizen universe, and will sort of enable us to sort of tell stories in this universe and sort of let you venture around it in a way that maybe you hadn't before. Certainly not the way you had been able to do it in Freelancer or Privateer. So here's Astra Armada, which is sort of a high-end sort of ship dealership. One thing that I would like to say that in the Citizen universe, not every ship, not every dealer, not every shop has every item you can get. So you'll have to travel around the universe, and some places is where like for instance, you probably won't be able to buy an M50 everywhere, or certain kinds of weapons. And so hopefully it will force people to move around the universe to sort of buy the items they want, or find or explore the items. And so just, like you can in the real world, there'll be things that are unique to locations that you can go around and do. All right, let's just zip out of here and see the last location that's in the ArcCorp environment. There we go. And there's actually one that I haven't shown you because it isn't fully finished yet, but down there is Casper Outlet, and that's actually where you're going to go to buy clothes so you can customize your appearance, which is down there. But Andrew, let's just go to the Dumpers Depot. So there's the Casper Outlet that you would go. Dumpers Depot is right by Astra Armada where you left. So you're going to have to run back. Lots of running. But generally the idea is obviously that you wouldn't just be running around to locations. We're just trying to show you everything. But you'd be going around meeting other players, talking to other NPCs. Generally having a good time. I think Andrew's a bit tired right now. That's why he's not running so fast. He's lost his stamina. Oh, now he's picked up his stamina. There you go. And so this is Dumpers Depot would be the place in ArcCorp you would come to buy ship items, which you can sort of see to the left. Andrew moves to there. There'll be all the ship items you can see out there. You'd buy them with the terminal over here, and then you can also have your ship repaired, which is sort of what's happening back there with the Hornet in the background. Okay, so that's sort of a brief tour of the ArcCorp environment. So let's go on to back to the presentation, guys. There we go. So anyway, that's the social module for you on the ArcCorp demo that we gave you. So that's going to be the end of this month. Star Marine will be hopefully the end of next month. I know it's a little longer than I said a few weeks ago. I'm going to show you part of it now. We've sort of been consistently doing animation. So our biggest issue with Star Marine is getting the first-person and third-person animations to work seamlessly. So I'll show you some stuff here that I think looks really quite good. But the big challenge, and I think this has sort of been talked about a lot, is for us, we can't cheat. So a lot of first-person shooters are only in first-person mode, so you can sort of have the hands around the camera here. And if you sort of look at something like Call of Duty, when you're actually interacting with the environment in the first person, you see all these really great animations, but it's all specifically designed with sort of fake first person view. And if you notice when you go into the multiplayer version of Call of Duty and you see the other players running around, you don't nearly have the same fluidity of animation that, say, the AI does in the single player mode. And the other players don't really interact with the environment the same way that you would do in sort of the first person sort of kind of roller coaster sequences that happen in, say, Call of Duty. And so for us, the problem is not so much the FPS, because we could sort of do the same kind of things, but in the full persistent universe, you can be flying a ship and having someone sit right next to you, and he's got his hands on the controls, interacting with the panels, interacting with the environment, and so you will always see other players in third person, even if you only are in first person, interacting with the environment. So that basically means that we have to make third person and first person all sort of work from the same base, which is the most difficult thing to sort of do in first person games. People will tell, lots of first person developers will say that. Arma 3 does unify the two of them, and we are unifying them, so we're pretty confident that we're going to make it work, but it is taking a little longer. In the last sort of stages, we're sort of retrofitting the skeleton to do a little bit better in terms of the ragdoll physics, which unfortunately when we retrofit the skeleton, it means we have to retarget the animations. We have about 3,000 animations, so it takes a little bit of time. Having said all that, I think it's going to look, already looks great, and I think ultimately it's going to be work really well and be fun, and it is foundational in the game. So the social module I just showed you, in fact, I actually should have done it. We should have just put a loadout, but you can actually switch to a full FPS loadout and have a gun and shoot other people in it. Because everything, when you're running around, there's no difference in our code base. It is the same code base. So all the stuff you're seeing, the social stuff you're seeing, the FPS you're seeing will all be in multi-crew that we're releasing a little later on. So here we are. We're just going to go to FPS, show around. I got 6 of the guys here. And I'm going to, hopefully Jared's going to cut around and make it slightly interesting. We'll see. And I think we want to sort of show, are we on Red's, who are we on right now? Red 1. Okay. You wanted to go show a little bit of the animation on the back there before we get into some combat? Andrew? So I'll just have Andrew pop out to third-person view. There you go. Maybe you want to sort of kind of, so like several things that we're trying to do is we're sort of trying to have real sort of like motion and inertia. So if you notice when you move around, it's like if I've got a gun and I'm going like this, I'm going to do this as I'm doing. That's the natural way. And if you're going to shoot, you always should have to be like that. So because if you sort of start to shoot like this, you're going to lose your balance. So we're trying to model that with this, and we have a sort of, hopefully a fluidity of animation that you don't normally see. I mean, you certainly don't do it most of the time in a first-person shooter because you don't have to worry about the animation, but these are all things that we're working on to make the experience sort of realistic and also look cool when other people are doing it. And we're also sort of focusing on making the combat more tactical if we possibly can. So some of the things that we're still working on is the sort of the fidelity of the hits, when you can feel you can get hit, the animation for that. So we don't have that in yet, so you should be able to feel the impacts. Also, we have specific limb damage, so you can be wounded in your leg and you'll limp around, or you can have your arm shot and then you can only use one-handed weapon instead of a two-handed weapon. So we're trying to have a lot of sort of precision, some of the same stuff that we have for the ships. And all that stuff takes a little bit of time. We're going to nail them from the back. Yeah, it's kind of... Oh, someone's throwing a grenade up there. Let's see. All right. So anyway, there you are. That's kind of where we're at on the FPS. So we sort of still have to work on the sort of hit fidelity and sort of the damaged limb parts of stuff. And the ragdoll stuff's a big one, which is one of the reasons why we're changing the skeleton to make sure it works better with CryEngine. But all right, okay. I think we'll move on. I just wanted to show you guys like a bit of an update, show you what it looks like. Show sort of kind of where the animations and the visuals are, which I think are pretty good looking. And then, we're currently in the process of sort of fine-tuning all the depth and the hit stuff and some of the kind of playability stuff. Squadron 42, we're going to talk more about this at CitizenCon and show you some stuff. We finished the performance capture shoot for it, which was 3.5 months. It was a longer shoot than I've done on any movie I've done, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be fantastic. I'm super excited. I mean, that in itself is going to be a whole massive game. Foundry 42 is working really, really hard on the environment, ships, sounds, and the stuff that I'm seeing is great. And everything that we're doing for Star Marine and Arena Commander, which is sort of the space simulation side, and Star Marine is obviously on the foot simulation, is all going into Squadron 42. So it's sort of all the pieces of the technology we're building help make Squadron 42 at the level that we're going to do it. And then they're also working on some of our newer stuff. So we have some procedural generation stuff that we're working on, which we've talked about. We had a stretch goal. So we'll have some pretty cool stuff to be announcing about. It doesn't mean that we're going to sort of randomly generate for billions of star systems, but we are using the technique to enhance what we're doing in a crafted manner and sort of allow us to have some pretty cool stuff like seamless transitions from space down to the landing environments. And then they're obviously making CryEngine sing, since they were some of the people that helped build it in the first place, which is very useful for us. Now to you guys. So our community, we have like 935,000 people, which is crazy. We have 30,000 organizations, which is pretty amazing, especially since we have a very limited form of the game available right now. It's not like you're going to venture out in the Precision universe just yet. Over 5 million forum posts, and over 216 countries, which just completely astounds me. And it's kind of a testimony to how you guys have all sort of pulled together and built up. And I think that comic book we're giving you guys in a pretty cool poster at the end of this event. So yeah, it's pretty amazing what everyone creates out there, and long term I think we really want to sort of focus on creating tools to help you guys do more of that. Short term, here's some newer community stuff that we're going to roll out. So the Community Hub, which is, well, we'll have a video to explain it, but it's a whole center place for the community to put their content up, sort of discuss it, upvote it. I'm not going to say downvote, but it's a place for everyone to sort of come together and display and congregate. And then the Issues Council is we've been working on a system to enable everyone that's been doing such a great job in playing the early builds and giving feedback to do it in a sort of more focused manner, so we can sort of distill it down and communicate it back to QA, and then we can get it fixed in the game easier. And we're also going to be doing ship and stretch goal status pages. So here's a short video from Turbulent that sort of explains the Community Hub and the Issues Council.
Greetings, Star Citizens. My name is Ken Wang, and I'm a Senior Project Manager at Turbulent. Today, we'd like to give you a sneak preview of some features that will benefit you, the community: the Issue Council and Community Hub.
The Issue Council is a groundbreaking, crowdsourced approach to evaluating and validating bug reports. Not only do you contribute your own bug reports, but also you can evaluate other people's bugs and vote on them. You help decide which bugs will be fixed. There are three main phases to using the Issue Council: contribute, prioritize, and resolve. When you find a bug in the game, simply visit the Issue Council and click on the Add Report button. We want to provide the developers with as much relevant information as we can about the bug, so we ask you for your gaming computer specs as well as detailed steps to reproduce and expected result. You can also contribute to the Issue Council by reviewing and confirming other members' bug reports. You can indicate whether you were able to reproduce the bug, or if the bug is invalid or a duplicate. Bugs must be triaged and confirmed by the community before they can be voted on and acknowledged by CIG. The community can discuss bugs in the contributions section at the bottom. You can prioritize bug reports by upvoting or downvoting them. Voting on confirmed bugs will result in an overall community rating that is imported automatically into CIG's bug tracking system. Once a bug report receives a certain number of reproductions, it will become acknowledged by a CIG developer. At that point, CIG will handle the bug report in their own internal bug tracking software. If a bug report does not receive enough reproductions, it will die. So community involvement is critical to the process. With the Issue Council, our goal is to involve the community even more deeply into the game's development process. Another benefit is that only valid reports will pass through to CIG, thus making the QA process more cost-effective. Next up, the Community Hub. With the Community Hub, any backer will be able to contribute their own content to our website. The Citizen Spotlight section contains your contributions of in-game screenshots, videos, and fan art. The Deep Space Radar section is your one-stop shop of links from anywhere around the verse. Any interesting links pertaining to Star Citizen can be submitted to Deep Space Radar. Finally, you can submit your podcast feed URL or live stream feed by connecting to Twitch directly from our site. All of your contributions will then be able to be upvoted and commented on by the Star Citizen community in the race for the coolest content. The Community Hub is your page.
We're really excited to be launching the Issue Council and Community Hub. These are both social tools, and we can't wait to see what you will do with them. See you around the verse.
All right, that's the Retiator. So we do have some SciTech that we made. There was an announcement that we're going to partner with SciTech to build the Star Citizen HOTAS. You know, we spent a lot of time, actually. We talked to all the various peripheral joystick manufacturers, And the reason why we went with Cytec, well, I mean, there's a couple of reasons. Long time ago, when I was very first doing the game, I don't know if any of you remember, but the X52 was actually what I used as the base of the model for the joystick in the Hornet. So when we were designing it, I sort of looked around and I liked the look of sort of the X52 that was all silver, and I sort of sent that to the artist and said, yeah, use this as an inspiration. And if you remember the early crowdfunding videos, we had them in the background because I had an X52. But more importantly, it was really about the fact that discussing it with them, it would be a complete sort of project. So it's not just about doing one-off joystick or controller. It was about doing a range of them. So a sort of kind of entry-level sort of HOTAS, a much more high-end HOTAS, keyboard, mice, headsets, everything to be sort of built and configured for Star Citizen. You know, I think it's the right one. We spent a lot of time talking to the various people, and Cytec was definitely the company that was most willing to sort of style and theme it in the style that we wanted, and also most willing to change and work with us. So we actually have spent a fair amount of time in the UK office working with Cytec, having a prototype stick, which we will be showing you here. So here's the base level entry one, which is kind of here, I think. So we can bring up a camera if you have on it. So there's going to be a higher level one, and I think actually this got knocked over or something. But so one thing to point out on it, if you notice, because everyone debates whether it sucks because mice can aim better. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a trackball on the stick and there's a trackball on the throttle. So we've deliberately done it so you can aim and fly your ship all at the same time in the same stuff. And I think so. Here we'll go on. I'll just pop on back to the presentation slide. So the other thing that's cool is that we're going to be styling them. And these are actually all going to be fairly, these are the sort of entry-level ones. And just one other thing that I kind of want to note is that the throttle and the stick is going to be detachable. So if you can see, you can set that up. So when we were talking about modular, we were being serious in more than one way. And this is like one of the big reasons why we thought Cytec will be a perfect partner, is because they were willing to not just be about the joystick. We're like, we want everything to be in this world, and yes, we want to have our keyboard and our joystick and all the rest of the stuff. So I think that's a nice setup. I like that. Here's the next one. So that would be the sort of entry level. I think Cytec's going for a $149 level, the previous one. This is obviously the much higher end one to compete with the very high end sort of Thrustmaster and the X65 level sticks. So this is going to be quality level, base the X65, die-cast metal chassis, again trackballs, analog sticks, and a touch screen on the front, which you can see this whole OLED touch screen sitting right there. Or at least I think it's a touchscreen. I know it's an OLED screen. I think it's a touchscreen. It may not be a touchscreen, so don't quote me on that. I may get in trouble with Cytec. But I don't want it to be a touchscreen. Anyway, so I mean, as you can see, this is like one of the big reasons we wanted to partner with them, and of course, headsets and mice when you're playing the FPS. So that's like how we want to do it. We want to do it complete. We don't want to just do one thing. We want to do it right and do everything.